I think the big challenge facing the agency business globally right now is a completely changed competitive landscape. I think PR agencies are finding themselves in competition with advertising and digital firms in a way that simply wasn't the case 4 or 5 years ago, both in terms of providing strategy. I think there is an opportunity for public relations to move into a central role in the brand building process, a role that's traditionally been held by advertising agencies. But also in terms of execution on the digital and social side, there are firms from other disciplines that are looking to do the things that public relations has traditionally done. So the competitive landscape has changed fairly dramatically. And then if you look at the other end of the business, high-level strategic counseling that is offered by PR firms is increasingly, I think, overlapping with the kind of brand and reputation advice that management consulting firms would like to offer. So if you like, we're being attacked from the top, the bottom, and the sides. I believe that there are a couple of advantages that public relations agencies have in this new competitive environment. The big one, it seems to me, is that we are used to, or we should be used to, operating in an environment of dialogue and conversation and interaction. We're not based on a one-way communications channel. We're not used to putting a message out there and having it go unfiltered to consumers. And obviously today we're living in a world where brand messages are being interfered with, if you like, from almost every direction. There was, I think probably 5 years ago, it was still possible for brand marketers to believe that the brand was everything they said about themselves. So it was your advertising and your sponsorship and your logo and your website. Today, the brand is everything that other people say about you. And that's an environment that ought to suit the skills of public relations people much more than it does some of the other disciplines. I think the most important thing to say about the agency of the future is that it's not going to look like the agency of 20 years ago. One of the issues facing particularly the big global agencies is that they are structured for an era which has simply vanished. And the implications are incredibly broad in terms of the way you structure your agency. So some of the traditional practice areas, I suspect, are not going to make sense going forwards. I'm not sure that it's any longer apparent what is the difference between consumer and corporate PR. I think the lines between those things are blurring. I think that the traditional P&L structure of a PR firm is now little more than an obstacle towards bringing together the best teams from around the world and around different practice areas and different skill sets to meet client needs. The other big challenge is going to be the kind of talent that is recruited in the future. We have an industry that is still, to a large extent, built on people who understand how to deal with the mainstream media. But suddenly we're going to need an influx of people who are experts in data and analytics, in research, in account planning, in digital and social media, in content creation across multiple channels, from white papers and press releases all the way through to mobile apps and widgets and online games. And these are skills that, for the most part, PR agencies have not been developing in-house. We're going to have to find a huge number of people who are creative and who understand data and analytics. And who don't necessarily think of the PR industry as a natural place for them to ply their trade. I think one of the things that's going to be interesting over the next 5 or 10 years is to see who can come along and be genuinely disruptive in our industry. If you look at the media world, for example, we have, in the space of 15 or 20 years, gone from Time Warner, the great sort of ancient brand of publishing, being sold to AOL, to Huffington Post taking over the entire universe. This is a company that didn't exist 10 years ago. that is now a major player in the media realm. We haven't seen anything quite equivalent to that in the PR industry. The big PR agencies are still pretty much the same group that you would have been writing about 5, 10, 15 years ago. I suspect that there's plenty of room for somebody to come along either from an emerging market or with a completely different model from a developed market to really shake up the international agency business. And I'm looking forward to seeing who that might be.